Hello, our dear viewers from Nairobi and around the world. Welcome to another edition of The Sunrise Show. I am Douglas Igon. But before we start, here are the day's headlines. Gideon Kalonzo alliance mooted. High cost of drugs and health services may derail UHC project. China and US leaders agree to ease trade tension. And Kariobangi Sharks Super Cup winners. Leaders have proposed a coalition between KANU chairman Gideon Moi, Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi, and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. The calls came on the second day of Gideon's tour of the Western region, during which the Baringo senator warned that a tsunami was coming and would sweep away those engaged in premature politics before 2022. The leaders were speaking during a funds drive at St. Stephen's SEK Mulwanda in Kiwesero, Kakamega County. This is the second day of Gideon's tour of the region. The Universal Health Coverage UHC program, to be launched on the 13th of December 2018, is facing several challenges, with stakeholders warning that the high cost of drugs and medical care and the lack of human resources and also the drug shortages would derail one of the pillars of President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda. The Linda Mama program and disbursement of funds to the elderly will also be restricted. Health Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki said that the two will be merged in the 4 piloting counties and will be handled under the UHC pool to ensure efficiency, since some of the funds to be used in the health project will be drawn from the previously existing pools. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his US counterpart Donald Trump agreed yesterday to take measures to ease bilateral trade tensions and keep up close contact. In a friendly and candid atmosphere, the two presidents had profound discussion that lasted for 2.5 hours. The time was much longer than the scheduled time, and the day after the group of G20 summit in the Argentine capital of Buenos Aires. It was the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders since Trump's China visit in November last year. According to Mr. Wang, the two presidents reached important common understanding, and the meeting certainly had charted a course for China-US relations in the summer of the time to come. A youthful Kariobangi Sharks side beat Kenyan champions Gor Mahia 1-0 in the pre-season opening Kenya Premier League Super Cup at the Moi International Sports Center in Kasarani yesterday. Ugandan George Abege fed substitute Sydney Lokale the area of the 52nd minute. Lokale then turned his markers inside out before curling in a decent ball into the net, with Gor Mahia custodian Boniface Oloch well beaten. Gor, the 4-time holders of the Shield, exerted pressure on a search of an equalizer immediately, but Hawkeye Kenya under-23 international goalkeeper Brian Wire denied them on 2 occasions. So that's all from us today. Joining us in Studio B, we have Collins Wanyonyi with Standard Media Group presenter Abubakar Abdullahi.
Hello and welcome to WTV, and today on One-on-One with WTV I have Mr. Abubakar Abdullahi. Mr. Abubakar Abdullahi is an anchor and a reporter with KTN, a business reporter with KTN News. Welcome on the program, Mr. Abubakar.
Thank you, Collins, for having me.
Let's start. Let's get to know your educational background, Mr. Abubakar.
Fair enough. I'm still a 4th-year student at Daystar University. I'm pursuing a degree, a Bachelor's of Art in Communication, with an interest in electronic media. So that's where the pinnacle of my education so far has reached. But of course, I intend on getting to the highest of pinnacle, even in academia. Yes.
And of course, Mr. Abubakar, you're already working with KTN. Is this the first position you are holding in the media industry, or you have worked before?
I've worked before, not for a channel, but for my own, in a sense that I have been a show host and a content creator on my own, posting them on social media and new media. So to that capacity I have worked, but working as a news reporter and an anchor, this has to be definitely my first time.
And what is the comparison as far as pressure is concerned between doing your own personal work and now working under strict rules and pressure from the media industry?
It's good that you made mention of pressure, because that is what is essential even in any newsroom, because there's always the delivery time. You know, if the news is at 9, it has to start rolling at 8:58, and you can never be late. It's almost impossible to delay your news. One story or two may delay and have a huge implication in terms of why it had to delay. So there's immense pressure, but at the same time, if you know how to work out the craft, you deliver before even the pressure gets to you. Yes.
And how do you manage? How do you cope with that pressure?
I think you do whatever you do with mind, having time, in a sense that you go for an assignment, you even script when you're on the field, so that as you are back to the office, the editor has gone through your script, and there's no fault in the script. So yours is now to execute that particular script. But if you wait and delay, time is not on your side. So I think it's knowing the craft, knowing where your strength is, where you need to hurry up. If you have a problem overthinking when it comes to scripting, it's just building on your weakness and changing them to a new potential strength.
And of course, Abubakar, you mentioned you're still a fourth-year student at Daystar University. The things you've learned throughout the 4 years period, are they in any way related to what you've encountered in the media industry?
Fair enough. I think there is an immense correlation between what we learn in school and what the industry operates on. To an extent, yes. But to equally a fair extent, there is a disparity. To the extent that we are told you have to abide by all the rules of journalism, have the interest of people at heart. You may have the interest of people at heart, but there are commercial and corporate interests as well, which at times, and this is very unfair even to say, at times override the interest of our audience. So to an extent, yes, that what we are taught in university is ideally what informs the operation of the media industry, both locally and regionally, and even globally. Yes.
And for the short period you've been in the media industry so far, what are the challenges you can highlight and say, so far these are the challenges I've encountered in my duty as a journalist?
I think when you are relatively new to the industry, there's often the challenge. There are two challenges that I think headline what any of the new journalists often face. The first one is, of course, the belittling and people thinking you're just but a beginner, not trusting you to do stories that you may have a flair and be abreast to deliver. The second one is the one of networks. You may want a certain person for a certain bite, but because you are new, they're hesitant to even give you an interview, in contrary to people who have been in the industry longer than you. So I think those are often the two main challenges that often exist.
And I understand you're a reporter. Of course, you've gone out to look for stories. And there is this thing we normally hear even from our lecturers and so forth about the brown envelope. And have you encountered something like that?
Very much, Collins. I think there's no particular story that I have been sent to do without someone wanting to pay in appreciation. They use coded language. They'll tell you, we are appreciating your presence, we are giving you fare, we are giving you lunch. These are things that equally I can get on my own, so why give me? So there's a lot of money that exchanges hands in this industry. I also was thinking, why does this exist? But to an extent, you also see that the people who are bribing are not actually the companies themselves. It is the PR companies that work for these big corporates that are under pressure by the corporates to be seen on television that pay journalists. Yes.
And of course, Abubakar, you said you're a fourth-year student. Of course, you've gone before your fellow students. What would be your advice to your fellow students who want to join you and also make a cut in the industry? You
see, there's a media revolution that is still going on. It starts from, of course, the inception of new media, social media, to even now when we are focusing more, shifting our gears to a 24-hour news setup. So the industry is expanding. There's a lot of foreign huge investments that is being made. And locally, our media as well is expanding and making investments within it. So there's a big opportunity for any journalist who wants to start off or is even has started off. But there's also the question of how ready are you for this chance? It's more than the flair and the glare of looking and talking to the cameras. You have to start it when you're still here. practice when you are here. Don't come to the newsroom for 3 months
Mhm.
to be taught how the newsroom operates,
Mhm.
how to conduct a show,
Mhm.
how to ask good questions,
Mhm.
how to posture, and everything that you need to be taught. Self-teach yourself.
Mhm.
Your lecturers won't teach you because that is not necessarily what they are paid to. They may give you a guideline out of their own extra initiative. But what matters more is you as a student.
Mhm.
What extra initiatives are you doing?
Mhm.
You have 4 years.
Mhm.
You can't tell me you will fail to perfect
Mhm.
an area or two within those 4 years.
Mhm.
So come to the newsroom knowing what you want.
Mhm.
Having evidence that you can do, that's the most important thing. You know, we can talk,
Mhm.
but TV is visual.
Mhm.
Radio is audio,
Mhm.
audio as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Come to the newsroom when you have what you can show.
Mhm.
At that point, you will even stand out among your peers.
Mhm.
You're a bankable person. This is more or less, this is someone that the entire industry, the entire media house can bank on
Mhm.
if what so happens.
Mhm.
So come with evidence, come having learnt a lot, come ready for a challenge.
Mhm.
Don't come to the newsroom to start out in the newsroom. It will be difficult.
Mhm.
And the words of Moses Wetangula, it will be messy and nice.
Mhm. And as we finish, Abubakar, what will be your last words to upcoming journalists who want to venture into the media industry? What will be your last words?
This is something that I always convince myself
Mhm.
with as well.
Mhm.
Do irrespective of who watches it.
Mhm.
At times you'll post a video interviewing someone and
Mhm.
you'll get 20 views.
Mhm.
At times you'll get a staggering 6,000 views.
Mhm.
You know, do without the views.
Mhm.
Keep on doing.
Mhm.
Consistency.
Mhm.
One day
Mhm.
a door will open. And when that door opens,
Mhm.
it is the opportunity, the consistency that you have widely shown
Mhm.
that will guide you. You will even realize that people are telling you that you look as though you have a 6-year experience. Where have you been?
Mhm.
Yet you are just coming to the newsroom, self-trained and done initiatives out of your own.
Mhm.
So I think never give up.
Mhm.
Consistency is key.
Mhm.
But above all, it's never that serious.
Mhm.
We do this to enjoy.
Mhm.
So don't have a fury face
Mhm.
thinking of this is what media is. No.
Mhm.
The future, of course, is within the hands
Mhm.
of the Almighty.
Well, that has been Mr. Abubakar Abdullahi, senior reporter with KTN News. He says consistency is the key. I think we'll have to end it at that particular point. My colleague John Kamau is coming up with the newspaper review.
This is WTV, and I welcome you to the newspaper review segment, and I'm John Kamau. We're going to take a look at 2 local dailies for that matter, and see what they have for us. So we're going to start over with the Standard. We have why boarding in schools may end. A team set up by Ministry of Education proposes abolition of boarding schools in primary to allow parents to better monitor their children. And more on that story, you can find it on page 4 of the Standard. And on page 3 of the same daily, we have the court orders estranged couple back into marriage. Woman says she sought divorce after husband reportedly refused to have more children. And over to the sports segment of also the Standard Daily, the Standard newspaper. We have classy Arsenal run over Spurs. Gunners tear Tottenham into pieces at Emirates to extend unbeaten run to 19 matches in the North London derby. Let's move over to the Daily Nation. On page 1 of the Daily Nation, we have a story on the bribery storm over Ruaraka land vote. The Senate divided by claims that some members were paid to scuttle a report that censored Interior CS Matiang'i and PS of the Education Cabinet, the Cabinet Education PS Kipsang of a 1.5 billion shilling scam. And more on that story will be found on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And second, we have on page 3, we have a story on how divorces and feuds are breaking up once stable family run businesses. And estranged lovers are encouraged to pursue mediation to handle property disputes. And let's move over to the business segment, where we have a story on Kenyan banks ranked among those with high bad loan ratios in Africa. And that story can be found on page 31 of the Daily Nation. And that was all I had for you on the newspaper review segment. Feel free to review those two newspapers. And thank you.
Welcome to our weather forecast. My name is Omar Songo. In Nairobi, we are expecting sunny morning, while in Mombasa, temperature will be high throughout the day. In Kisumu, sunny morning and heavy rainfall in the afternoon. And that's all that we have. Bye-bye.